Hello and welcome to another episode of The Average EV. Today I'm going to talk about an issue I've seen at some Tesla supercharging sites. Let's get into it. All right, and everybody, I'm actually going to stay inside my car because it is so windy outside today, and this is kind of the day I have to do this video, and I want you all to be able to hear me. So I will go back out and we'll take a look at some things in a second, but let me at least lay out what's going on here. So we took our cross-country trip to California, and one of the sites we stopped at was the really big Tesla supercharging site in Baker, where they have what are called version 2 superchargers and version 3 superchargers that are co-located. And the version 2 superchargers are closer to the road, and because of that, guess what? That's where most of the people who had Teslas were going to charge. They're filling up the version 2 superchargers, and then you had all these version 3 superchargers in the back of the parking lot that really weren't getting used. And again, I'm just assuming that's because they were closer to the road. Maybe people knew that they were at such a high state of charge they weren't going to get as good charging speeds. That could be possible, but most likely it's because they were the closest to the road, closest to the building, and people wanted to park there so they could charge up. And maybe they weren't in a rush. That could also have been a thing. But having V2 and V3 charging units, dispensers in the same parking lot are such a big issue. When Tesla opened up the supercharger network to non-Tesla vehicles, they actually don't allow non-Tesla vehicles to charge at these sites because they don't want those drivers to be confused at what can they and can they not charge at. So they're just like, we're not going to have those available for non-Tesla, so there's no confusion. So it is an issue. Tesla's aware of it, and you know they've been thinking about it. So anyways, I just wanted to make this video, I guess, is like a public service announcement. I'm sure there are other videos about it, but I'm seeing these people go and they're using the really chargers maybe they shouldn't use, and hopefully this will be helpful to some of you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the difference between a V2 and a V3 supercharger. I'm going to explain the difference. I'm going to explain why you might want to use one over the other, and then hopefully you can use this information to have a wonderful charging experience in the future. So first off, let's hop out of the car, check out these V2 and then also the V3 superchargers. And again, everyone, pardon the wind if it does pick up a little bit. I'm going to try and keep my back to it. So this is a V2 supercharger, and I'm going to step back here and let you all kind of look at it for a little bit. It looks extremely similar to a V3 supercharger, and I'm going to put them side by side so you can see the difference. But this is the V2, and upon looking, it looks the same, but when you get closer, that's when you start to see the differences. And the two main differences are, first, right here, it has this silver collar, little stainless steel or aluminum, probably aluminum, and then it has a thicker cable. Okay, that is the tell. Aside from that, they look pretty similar. Here's the V3. I'm on the other side of it, but you can see it's got a much thinner cable and has no silver collar on the connector. A lot lighter, easier to use, but the structure itself looks pretty much the same. All right, so now that we've looked at the visual differences between the two, why would we want to use a V2 or why would we want to use a V3 over the other? Well, let me start with the easy solution. The easy answer here is most of the time you're gonna want to use a V3 supercharger because it's going to charge your car faster. If you look in your Tesla app, you'll actually see for V2 sites, it'll charge up to 150 kilowatts. That's the max charging rate it'll allow. Whereas the V3 sites will go all the way up to 250 kilowatts, and in some cases even 325 for those new, the tall white Tesla supercharger dispensers, and that will work only for a Tesla Cybertruck. Those can charge up to 325 and allegedly more eventually. So those are kind of the speed differences. So you're going to get faster speed at a V3 supercharger. Additionally, and I'm not going to get too much into the weeds in this, but with the way all the chargers are laid out, most of the time, unless the site's completely full and everybody came in at a really low state of charge, you're going to get your expected charging rate at a V3 supercharger. With a V2 supercharger, first off, it's only going to be 150 kilowatts, but this is kind of the thing that makes it much different than the V3, and it will split power right down the middle. So as soon as you plug in, it's going to split the power down the middle, so you only get 75 kilowatts. So say you're at this bigger site in California, you pull in next to someone else, you're both at low states of charge, you both plug in, you're both going to get 75 kilowatts, and it's going to greatly extend the charging time at that spot for you. And no matter what, during the entire life of that charging session, when you're both plugged in to the paired chargers, because it splits down the middle between two, you all are going to get 75 kilowatts. And that's just how it's going to work. And it's going to be slow, and it's not going to be as good of an experience if you had used a V3 supercharger. Just to give the same example, you roll up to that Baker site, but instead you go back to the V3 superchargers, you plug in there, you're going to get your full speed the whole way, and everything's going to be cool, and you're going to get that experience that you enjoy with your Tesla. So there is that. Now, is there any scenario when you would want to use a V2 supercharger? Maybe. So I looked at some different charging curves with Teslas, and it looks like at about 40% state of charge, you're gonna drop below 150 kilowatts. So if you're looking for a charger and you're above 40% state of charge, and you're trying to decide between a V3 and a V2, you could honestly use either and you're gonna get the same charging experience. So it could play into your benefit in some points in time. I've been to a couple V3, V2 sites where maybe you roll in and all the V3s are used and no one's using the V2, but you're above 40% state of charge, then go use the V2. Not going to be that big a deal. You're going to get the same charging rate you would get if you plugged in to a V3 supercharger. The only thing I'd caution is if you're going to go use the V2, just make sure you do not park right next to someone in with dispensers that are paired. Many old school Tesla owners are very familiar with parking every other stall so that everybody gets full power at V2. But if you weren't aware of that, now you are. So let me go. I actually want to go out and show you all what I'm talking about at this V2 and how you would want to park if you came upon one and you're above 40% state of charge, or even if you're below 40% state of charge and you at least want to get 150 kilowatts. All right, so if you look here at the bottom of the chargers, this one says 5A and this one says 5B. And we walk over here, this one says 4B and this one says 4A. So this is paired with this. So if you come, you're parked here, you might be getting 150 kilowatts, and then someone parks right here, they plug in, sorry for the wind, they plug in, now you're gonna be split to 75 immediately, regardless of state of charge, regardless of if your car would only be getting 75 anyways, but the other car would be getting 250, both cars are just gonna get 75 kilowatts. Now, in the event that you are diverted to a V2, a 150 kilowatt charger, is it gonna be the end of the world? It actually won't be the end of the world. I can't imagine the time difference being that much because the Tesla charging curve, you're only charging at above 150 kilowatts for about 30%. So maybe you're looking at 5, 7, I can't imagine more than that extra minutes if you have to charge at a V2. And you might not be able to make it to a V3, the V3 might be further away, something like that. So it's probably not, it's not the end of the world, it's not worth getting stressed out about. But if you do come to a site where they are co-located and no one's on any of the chargers, like you're gonna wanna use the V3 because it is gonna save you a little bit of time in the long run. Unless maybe you actually wanna take a longer time to charge, you know, that's perfectly fine too. All right, so that's all I have today, everybody. I'm gonna wrap the video up again inside my car, it's just so windy. But hope you all found this video helpful. I know I just go to these sites and I see people using V2 when they could absolutely be using a V3 supercharger, maybe saving themselves a little bit of time. And maybe people just didn't know. And if I'm gonna be honest, when I'm out in public, I don't wanna go tell someone, hey, you're wrong, you shouldn't charge here. Like when I was in Baker, I wasn't going to go tell, it was like maybe 20, 30 cars, hey, you all are wrong, maybe go move back to the V3. I wasn't going to do that, but I thought maybe I'll make this video. It can be helpful, useful to somebody out there. Maybe you can share it with a friend who also has a Tesla so that they can have a better charging experience. So anyways, that's all I have today. If you haven't already, please remember to give a like, a subscribe, hit the notification bell. You know what? Why don't you even share this video with someone who might help? And I will catch you all next time.